You are listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe News Hour. Another episode of Julia's Trucking Cafe Trucking News Hour. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're having a great week. Trying to get these knocked out for you. This will be episode 85. A truck driver is sentenced to 3 years in prison for carrying a sawed-off shotgun, and we'll discuss this story later in the programming. But first, let's talk about how New York is investing $450 million to revamp their service plazas and including more truck parking. The New York State Thruway Authority approved a multi-million-dollar plan to renovate or rebuild every service plaza along the Thruway. The New York State Thruway Authority Board of Directors approved a 33-year contract worth at least $450 million to upgrade all 27 service plaza facilities. The contract winner, Empire State Thruway Partners, will provide all of the funding for the service plaza upgrades. The upgrade plan involves rebuilding 23 service plaza locations, and upgrading 4 others. Construction is expected to start on 16 of the facilities by next year. This will be the first major upgrade to the New York Thruway service plazas in over 30 years. The plan also involves providing more amenities for commercial drivers, including expanded truck parking, showers, laundry facilities, and fitness facilities. Heck, I'll stop in there. The revamped service plazas will also feature new food options, including call-ahead ordering and food trucks when the weather permits. The contract must still be approved by the state comptroller and attorney general before it can move forward. But that's good news. And speaking of news and other news, week-long enforcement blitz to focus on severe spike in speeding. During last year's Operation A Safe Driver Week, commercial vehicle drivers were issued 1,454 citations and 2,126 warnings for speeding. The Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance confirmed that Operation Safe Driver Week would take place as scheduled and would target drivers who exceed the speed limit. On May 12th, the CVSA announced the focus of Operation Safe Driver Week 2020, which will take place throughout North America on July 12th through the 18th, so be forewarned. For the second year in a row, the area of emphasis for the Operation Safe Driver Week will be on speeding by both commercial vehicles and passenger cars. Let me put my glasses down a little bit so I won't get quite so much glare from reading the articles, but I'm still going to get glare no matter what I do. During last year's operation, like I mentioned, commercial drivers were issued 1,454 citations and 2,126 warnings for speeding. The CVSA explained that a severe spike in speeding during this crisis led to them to choose this year's area emphasis. And there's a long list of stuff that I'm not going to go through. But during Operation Safe Driver Week, law enforcement agencies will also be on the lookout for other unsafe driving behaviors like distracted driving, tailgating or following too closely, impaired driving, unsafe lane changes, failure to obey a traffic device, and seatbelt violation. Quote from the article: "It's essential that this enforcement initiative, which focuses on identifying and deterring unsafe driving behaviors such as speeding, go on as scheduled," said the President, Sergeant John Samus with the Delaware State Police. He's the president for the CVSA. Quote, "As passenger vehicle drivers are limiting their travel," yeah, right, they are, to necessary trips, and many commercial motor vehicle drivers are busy transporting vital goods to stores, it's more important than ever to monitor our roadways for safe transport, end quote. And there's no fine as of right now for illegal parking a truck on New York City streets, but lawmakers wants to change that. Lawmakers are considering bills that would impose a hefty fine for trucks that are illegally parked on New York City streets. The New York legislature is currently considering bills that would allow for the issuance of a $1,000 fine for trucks parked illegally or left unattended on a city street. Currently, truck drivers who illegally park on New York City streets only have to pay a towing fee. The version of the bill is also under review in New York State Senate. Both bills were reintroduced this January. New York City does have fines established for commercial vehicle drivers who park illegally on residential streets. This isn't the first time that the problem of finding illegal truck parking in New York City has been highlighted. So, yeah. Don't be parking on New York City streets. I like to get the hell out of Dodge, honestly. Get in and get out. And we all know about the hours of service waiver that was extended to June. And there again, this was written back in May. So again, I am playing catch up, just to let you know. I know this is old news, but bear with me. And they apply to drivers providing direct assistance. And as the time of this recording, it is now over with. And a Midwest trucking company is taking 12 crucial steps to protect drivers' health. An Indiana trucking company is overhauling nearly every aspect of their operation, or has overhauled, in order to prioritize and protect the health and their very most important resource, their drivers. In the face of the virus, Indiana-based trucking company Carter Express and sister company Carter Logistics recently announced that they would implement major new policy changes in order to protect drivers from the virus. Here are 12 major changes that our folks at Carter Express are taking to minimize risk for their drivers and other employees. Company providing PPE equipment. They have been doing enhanced cleaning and sanitizing, put into place at all their locations. It has implemented social distancing. Drivers who feel sick are asked to stay at home. Those who develop symptoms or those who have been exposed will be placed in a 14-day quarantine. Drivers will have access to new teledoc program to give them more personalized medical treatment. All employees who are at high risk category for complications from the virus will be given special consideration, and every effort will be made to protect their health. Driver orientation has been reinvented to reduce the risk of infection. Changes include cutting orientation from 3 days to 2 days, remote orientation, in other words, like video, sanitizing trucks before giving them to new drivers. Isn't that like, kind of, how can I say it? I'm lost for my train of thought. And anyways, using electronic onboarding, a driver qualification and payroll forms. New drivers will also receive instruction on company policies designed to limit the spread of the virus. Drivers are following new delivery instructions at customer locations, including remaining in their tractor to reduce exposure. We're all doing that. Office staff is working remotely when possible. Drivers are encouraged to keep themselves safe by wearing PPE while fueling. You're outside, come on, and by taking food with them in the truck rather than purchasing food from truck stops or restaurants. Shaking hands has been eliminated at all Carter Express locations to reduce the chance of spreading the virus, so you do a fist bump instead. Carter Express was founded 37 years ago, with just 5 trucks, etc., etc., etc. And the DC truck protest escalate as drivers block the roadway. This happened back in May. Truckers that were protesting for fair pay in DC for nearly 2 weeks appear to have partially blocked traffic in an attempt to get the attention of the president. Since May 1st, truckers have been protesting on Constitution Avenue in D.C., asking for more regulations on freight brokers and fair rates. In the days since the protest began, Trump has tweeted in support of truck drivers and even said that truckers are being price gouged. However, there is yet to be any definite action on behalf of truckers from the White House. On May 13th, the protests appeared to escalate, with drivers blocking traffic and chanting, "We want Trump," in an apparent attempt to force a meeting with the president. In a video captured at the scene, truckers can be heard blaring their horns and people can be seen standing in the roadway holding signs. Escalation in protest activities coincides with a separate protest called Motor Coaches Rolling for Awareness that brought hundreds of buses to D.C. These protesters are seeking $15 billion in financial aid from the government for the motor coach industry. And in other news, a truck wash owner is arrested for allegedly putting water in a diesel tank. Now, I know you see their faces are blocked out on this video. I am just reporting the news. I do not write any of these articles. These are articles that I researched that I share with all of you. So I do not know why their faces are blocked out. Police in Washington state say that a recent dispute over money escalated to serious property damage and the arrest of a truck wash owner. Back in May 12th, the Pasco Police Department shared the story of the incidents leading up to the arrest of an area truck wash owner, which reads as follows. First off, we are not using names in this post, but there is a lesson to be learned. One police officer has known for generations, no matter how bad it is, it can always get worse. Stop making it worse. Their story starts with a local semi-driver taking his tractor and trailer to a local truck wash. He speaks with employees in the truck bay, tips them, then he pays up front for having the tractor washed only. These accounts vary. The employees washed both the tractor and the trailer, reporting that the driver told them to. The owner wants paid for both washes, which is not more than right. Police are then called. This is a dispute over money, which is a civil issue, one that would not even occur if the employees followed the policy of waiting to see a receipt before starting work. The disputed amount was less than $70, and the transaction included a $40 cash tip to employees. Me personally, what I read from the story, and this is my own personal opinion, the driver tipped the employee, "Hey, sneak my trailer in." I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying he could have get a trailer wash in there, and here's a $40 tip for doing it. Officers told the owner they would not force the driver to pay for the trailer wash. He claimed he never ordered and that the owner could not hold the tractor and trailer. The owner walked off toward the truck wash bay. When the driver and officers relocated him or found him again, the owner was pulling a water hose out of the diesel tank of the tractor. The owner found himself in handcuffs and in a patrol car. The two tanks are connected. About 160 gallons of diesel was contaminated. The case ended with the owner paying for a commercial tow to take the rig to a nearby pump station to remove the contaminated fuel and pay to replace the fuel. In addition, the driver told police that the delay caused him to miss a load pickup, which cost him income. See what happens? So your little $40 tip to the wash bay attendants got you in a hole, missing you a load and everything else. Don't pull that crap. I'm just saying, it's a possibility that could have happened. Officers will be forwarding the case to the prosecuting attorney for a review of charges on the owner. The officers let him out of the car, took off the handcuffs. He may still face charges. Well, of course, And in Texas, cops run for their lives to avoid an out-of-control rig on I-35. Police in Belton, Texas, shared video of an out-of-control semi-truck that forced officers to run for their lives. This incident occurred around 2:45 in the afternoon on May 12th, as officers from the Belton Police Department were responding to a previous crash involving a semi-truck on I-35. As officers were standing beside the crashed semi, a second semi-truck driver traveling southbound on I-35 lost control in the rainy weather, crossing the median and 2 lanes of frontage road before coming to a stop near the first truck. Can we say slow the down? Officers ran from the scene to avoid the truck, but police said that no one was seriously hurt. Belton Police reminds drivers to adjust driving speeds to match weather conditions. Lives are literally at stake. Also remember, when you see emergency lights, move over or slow the down. So I am not going to play that video this time. The other one was, my last episode was important. This one I'm not going to do. It's just, I'm not going to give them the time of day to do that. Not at all. And in other news, FMCSA releases the hours of service final rule, making 4 key rule changes. The FMCSA published their long-awaited hours of service final rule where they made those changes. For nearly 2 years, they have been crafting the changes to current hours of service regulations that were debuted on May 14th. The agency has promised that the regulation changes will increase flexibility for U.S. truckers while maintaining highway safety. Quote from the article, America's truckers are doing a heroic job keeping our supply chains open during this unprecedented time, and these rules will provide them greater flexibility to keep America moving, said the U.S. Departmentation Secretary Elaine Chao. FMCSA says that they have drafted the final rule after consulting with more than 8,000 public comments from industry stakeholders, of course, law enforcement, safety groups, and drivers themselves, highly unlikely. The final rule features these 4 key changes. The agency will increase safety and flexibility for the 30-minute rule break by requiring a break after 8 hours of consecutive driving and allowing the break to be satisfied by a driver using on-duty, not driving status, rather than off-duty status. They will modify the sleeper berth exception to allow drivers to split their required 10 hours off-duty into 2 periods, an 8 and 2 split or a 7 and 3 split, or the full 10 hours, with neither period counting against the driver's 14-hour driving window. The agency will modify the adverse driving condition exception by extending it to 2 hours maximum. And the agency will consider the short haul exception available to certain commercial drivers by lengthening the driver's maximum on duty period from 12 to 14 hours and extending the distance limit within which the driver may operate from 100 air miles to 150. Many industry stakeholders have been hoping for a rule change that would allow drivers to pause the 14-hour clock. But, the FMCSA said that they decided against this change after consulting public comment. Of course, they're too worried about kissing the butt of the stakeholders, which means the big companies like American Trucking Association, Werner, Schneider, JB Hunt, all the big mega carriers. The new hours of service rules will be implemented 120 days after the final rule is published in the Federal Registrar. We're looking at probably sometime in September. There's more to this article. You could go ahead and read it, and it will be in the show notes. Now let's take a short break. As truck drivers, we all know what it's like to be at a shipper's or receiver's and have to wait to be loaded for hours on end. Am I right? Especially produce coolers and paper mills. That's why you need to be prepared with extra food in your truck. My Patriot Supply helps you stay prepared. Now, it's not what you may be thinking. My Patriot Supply is delicious emergency food. They have food kits that are good up to 25 years, and they come in a slim light tote that you can easily store in your food pantry or under your bunk. I could speak from experience after living through Hurricane Katrina. We were without power for 10 days, my mother, my son, and I. And if it weren't for the MREs that were flown into us, we wouldn't have had any food. 4 60-foot pine trees broke in half during that storm and landed across my driveway, landlocking me in, so I couldn't get out for food. And there were 4-mile gas lines then. That's when My Patriot Supply emergency food would have come in real handy. If I knew then what I know now about My Patriot Supply, I would have definitely had some of this food stockpiled in my pantry. Now, for limited time, you could get a 1-week food supply in a handy and neat looking ammo can. and they even offer gluten-free food for just under $100. All you have to do to get yours today is go to my website at juliastrucketcafe.com, go along the toolbar, and you'll see the emergency food supply tab. Click on that, scroll down, and click on any of the images that you see to find out more information. You need to be prepared, and it's important to stay well stocked in your truck. You insure your car, you buy health insurance, vision and dental. Now, why not buy food insurance? Stay prepared for anything that happens. Get yours today. Go to juliastrucketcafe.com, click on the emergency food supply tab, and order yours. Welcome back to Julia's Trucking Cafe Trucking News Hour. And next in the news, a trucker is sentenced to 3 years in the Pokie for carrying a sawed-off shotgun in the cab of his truck. Idaho authorities say that a truck driver was sentenced to 3 years after police discovered several illegal items in his truck when he was broke down. He was a California-based truck driver, Mr. McHenry, 28. He was sentenced to 36 months in prison in addition to 3 years of supervised release. He pled guilty to a charge of possession of an unregistered firearm back in September of 2019. The charge was filed against McHenry after his truck broke down while he was in Idaho. According to court records, McHenry's semi-truck broke down while driving through Nampa, Idaho. Police contacted McHenry and a drug detection canine alerted on the cab of McHenry's truck. Inside, officers located a sawed-off shotgun with an obliterated serial number, shotgun shells, methamphetamine, and a digital scale. McHenry admitted to possessing the firearm, which was later identified as a modified Harrington & Richardson Model Topper 58 20-gauge shotgun. The shotgun had a shortened barrel that measured 8.5 inches in length, with an overall length of 14 inches. The National Firearms Act requires such a shotgun to be registered if the barrel is less than 18 inches in length. The case was investigated by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives and the Nampa Police. The case was prosecuted as part of a 2 Department of Justice programs, and which seeks to reduce violent crimes, and which is an initiative to reduce gun violence and enforce federal firearm laws. And that is our top story. And in other news, if you haven't never been to the Trucker Jamboree in Walcott, this year it's going to be online only. One of the most beloved annual events in the trucking industry will be held virtually instead of in person because of the virus. Organizers with Walcott Trucker Jamboree have announced that the 2020 celebration will be taking place online July 9th through the 11th instead of at the usual location at Iowa 80 Truck Stop. Event organizers say that they have been forced to move the event online because of virus orders put in place by Governor Reynolds. Last year, 40,000 people attended the Walcott Truckers Jamboree. This year's online-only celebration will feature virtual Super Trucks Beauty Contest, a virtual Antique Truckers display, virtual Truckers Best Friend Pet Contest, and all concerts have been rescheduled for 2021. You can click on the link here in this article if you want to have a full schedule of virtual events. In other words, it's going to be all online, video, photographs, this kind of thing. Event organizers say that professional CDL drivers can still receive a free meal at the Iowa 80 Kitchen between July 9th and 11th. Meal certificates will be available during those 3 days at the Fuel Center, Service Center, Truckomat, Truck Wash, and Super Truck Showroom. Quote, "We want drivers to know how much we appreciate the hard work they do. This certainly isn't the way we thought our 41st Jamboree would play out, but we care about our drivers and their families, and we still want to celebrate them," said Delia Moon Myers, Senior Vice President. Quote, "We truly hope everyone understands, and we hope you will join us in spirit and online July 9th through the 11th in celebration of trucking. We look forward to seeing everyone in person in 2021. And President Trump says honking of DC truckers are Trump supporters, not protesters. During a Fox Business interview on Thursday, President Trump said that a group of truckers that were honking in support of him are not protesting cheap freight. Since May 1st, a group of truckers have been stationed in Constitution Avenue, like I've been discussing, in an attempt to raise awareness about low freight rates and ask for more transparency in freight broker transactions. After the protest activities escalated on May 13th, some of the truckers temporarily blocked traffic. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows spoke with truckers and assured them that the president would take action on their behalf. During a May 14th interview with Fox Business Marie Bartiromo, hosted on the White House lawn, the truckers on Constitution Avenue could be heard blasting their air horns, leading Trump to comment on the noise. Trump said, "You hear all that honking? You know what that is? That's trucks. They love their president." Trucking protesters, Bartiromo asked. Trump replied, "Well, they're not protesters, they're supporters of me, because we're getting things for the truckers and all those great truckers that are all over our country. They want the economy open," Bartiromo said. "And they are really thankful that I'm president, frankly. So when I hear the horns, there are 1,000 trucks outside. It's great," Trump said, before steering the conversation back towards China. That's funny. And truckers aren't happy with these new hours of service rule changes. The Federal Motor Carrier debuted the rules of service that I just talked about, and the final rule unveiled. Soon after the final rule was shared with the public, truckers took to social media to weigh in, and many of the commentators were disappointed. One of the biggest complaints from truckers, FMCSA did not address the problem of racing against the 14-hour clock with an option to pause it. Others said that the new rules are an improvement in terms of flexibility, but that the regulators did not do enough to help truckers. Some of the reactions are from Mr. Pitts. "All the hard work we've been doing while the country's in crisis, and this is the way we get treated. Nothing is done to benefit us and help make things a little easier for us truckers. Sounds about right. It has nothing to do with safety. It's all about money greedy. Sorry politicians, y'all remember that when you go to vote." Mr. Strader said, "Wow, they had a chance to fix the largest problem of the 14-hour clock and they didn't take it. These changes did nothing. Great job." And Mr. Carmick, literally, she says it will help drivers get to destination safer without racing against the clock, while disregarding the main issue, the fact you are racing against the clock if the 14-hour rule isn't paused. Who employs these idiots? Mr. Butler, they're adding a 7 and 3 with the 8 and 2 as ways to split the 10-hour break. It clearly says that these hours will not count against the 14. So both pause it. After the full 10 is over, you have hours back, minus what you used in the middle. Not a great fix, but much more flexibility than what we had. Mr. Ebner, they didn't change nothing that's going to help us drivers. Who cares about more sleeping bird splits still on stopwatch, or an egg timer as I like to call it. And Mr. Doolittle says they had a chance to really fix some issues, but waited a long time for nothing. And Ms. Keene says it would have been nice to be able to stop the clock to make a much needed nap or eat a hot meal without being rushed. Guess they don't consider driver fatigue or hunger a safety concern. All they did by allowing our required 30-minute break to be on duty is make sure the companies can push the drivers that much harder. Somehow I doubt they ask the average truck driver how they really feel about these changes. Groups like I said, American Trucking Association and Truckload Carriers Association have spoken out in favor of the hours of service changes. My cat wants to play now while I'm doing this. Today's rule is the result of a 2-year data-driven process, and it will result in needing flexibility for America's professional truck drivers while maintaining the safety of our roads. We appreciate the time and attention President Trump, Secretary Chow, and Administrator Mullen have paid to our industry and to this regulation, which, while maintaining the core limitations on drivers' work and rest cycles, makes smart changes to portions of the rules, said Chris Spear, American Trucking Association President and CEO, and he was the biggest, probably, lobbyist behind the darn thing. Yes, my cat wants to play now. And I had to put her down. Truckers use air horns to disrupt the White House press conference. And you see Dr. Fauci back there. All of a sudden, all this time, he wasn't wearing a mask. And after everything has died down, lo and behold, he's wearing a mask. Saying, oh, all of a sudden now we need to. But back in March, he was saying, no, you didn't, because you were touching it and, messing with it, and it really didn't help or nothing like that. Unless it's a N95 mask, and all of a sudden now he's wearing it. I'm like, anyway, back to the article. On Friday, a group of truckers continued to lay on their air horns, interrupting the president as he addressed the nation from the White House. During a press conference held at the White House Rose Garden, Trump's speech was interrupted by blaring air horns from a group of protesters who have been parked along Constitution Avenue. Quote, those are truckers that are with us all the way. They're protesting in favor of President Trump as opposed to against. And that's a sign of love, not the sign of your typical protest. So I want to thank our great truckers. They like me and I like them. We're working on something together, Trump told the press as the horns blared in the distance. Protesters are asking for action on a number of issues. We already know about this. I'm not going to go ahead and reiterate it some more. And the Teamsters had to get involved in the hours of service, saying how it's going to make the roads a whole lot unsafer. While several trucking industry organizations have spoken out in favor of the FMCSA's final rule on hours of service regulations, Teamsters say that they oppose the rule changes because they are a threat to highway safety. On May 14th, statement released shortly after FMCSA shared the hours of service changes, Teamsters wrote in and said that they believe these changes would force drivers to spend more time behind the wheel and increase their fatigue. New rules altered the driver break rule to require a 30-minute rest break after 8 hours of driving instead of 8 hours on duty. It will also allow drivers to record 30 minutes as on-duty non-driving status to take a break. The new rule also increases the short-haul exemption of 14 hours on duty within a distance of 150 air miles. Quote from the article, in an effort to increase the so-called flexibility for trucking companies, the FMCSA is abandoning safety and allowing drivers to push themselves to limit even further, said the General President Jim Hoffa. I thought he was dead. Anyway, maybe another Hoffa. Quote, trucking is already one of the nation's most dangerous jobs. Yeah, according to labor statistics. We shouldn't be sacrificing the health and safety of drivers just to pad the profits of their big business bosses. Teamsters point out multiple National Transportation Safety Board reports that point to driver fatigue as the cause of large truck crashes. How about, texting and inattentive driving? Extending the workday to 14 hours for CDL-qualified short-haul drivers will result in an increase in occupational injuries and driver fatigue. Director of the Teamsters Safety and Health Department. We are also concerned with the revised rest break provision. This revised rule could allow a driver to spend hours performing physically demanding work and then drive up to 8 hours without having to take a break. Aren't we doing that already? I'm like, really? But in other news, $11 million worth of suspected meth is seized from a tractor trailer shipment. And it is getting dark outside. I don't have the light on. I may have to turn it on, so it's going to be kind of a goofy video this time. I'm trying to hurry up. Officials with the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol seized a massive quantity of alleged methamphetamine from a commercial vehicle crossing the border from Mexico into the U.S. The drug bust was made on May 12th. Truck trailer hauling a shipment of plastic floor panels was stopped by officers, and a canine and also radar went through it. And during the inspection, they found 557 pounds of suspected methamphetamine hidden in the floor panels of the shipment. The street value of $11,145,575. They seized the meth and turned the case over to the U.S. Customs and Immigration Enforcement Homeland Security investigation. And a pickup truck driver is ticketed after colliding with an oversized load. Yeah, he's lucky he didn't get decapitated. Oklahoma police say that a pickup driver is okay following a crash with an oversized load. The crash occurred in Tulsa on the morning of May 15th, my birthday. According to reports, an escorted semi-truck was hauling a support beam on Broken Arrow Expressway. When a semi-truck driver turned left, the Chevy pickup truck traveling at 40 miles an hour crashed into the beam. Remarkably, the pickup truck driver suffered only minor injuries in the crash, and no other injuries were reported. Tulsa police say that the support beam was only inches from the driver's face. Yeah, can we say that was a big no-no? And a mega carrier will be selling off 5 operating companies after filing bankruptcy. A Florida-based parent company announced in May that it will file for bankruptcy and sell off 5 company subsidiaries. Comcar Industry announced Sunday, May 17th, that they had filed Chapter 11 protection with the intent of selling off operating companies. The company operates 4,000 trucks and employs 4,500 workers. Comcar says that they expect to conduct business as usual during the bankruptcy proceedings. They're going to go under. CT Transportation will be sold, CTL Transportation will be sold, and MCT Transportation will be sold. They say that they have entered into a letter of intent to sell CCC and CTTS Repair. Comcar did not disclose the name of the buyers. And the president and CEO, Randy Clark, passed away unexpectedly on April 5th, 2020. And they were founded in 1953 and was acquired by a private investment in 2016. That's really who's probably selling it. And if you see this gentleman out on the road, please call authorities. He has been missing since November of 2019. Texas police are asking for help from the public in locating a man who went missing late last year. Waco police put out a call for public assistance in locating 57-year-old James Earl Gilmore. Police say that family members have not seen or heard from Gilmore since November, when he left Waco to begin work at a trucking job in Louisiana. He is officially listed as a missing person. Gilmore is 6'4" and weighs 220 pounds. If you have any information or if you've seen Mr. Gilmore, please call the Waco Police Department at 254-750-7500. That's 254-750-7500, or you could contact Detective Thompson at 254-750-7616. That's Detective Thompson at 254-750-7616. And Loves responds to a video that went viral involving a security guard who threatened to shoot a truck driver. Love's Travel Centers issued a response to a video that went viral involving a security guard and a truck driver at a Tennessee truck stop. On May 17th, truck driver Joshua Andrews became involved in a parking spot dispute that reportedly began when he was awakened twice by security guards at a Love's on Lamar Avenue in Memphis. I believe that's right across the street from the Petro. According to Andrews, who was bobtailing at the time, security guard woke him up and asked him to move to a different part of the truck stop parking lot to save room. Andrews said that he was woken up a second time and told to move by a different security guard, who later identified himself as Officer Holton. A dispute ensued between Holton and Andrews, which Andrews filmed on a cell phone. As the two men walk into the store, Andrew turns the camera on himself and says, "At the Loves here in Memphis." Holton responds by saying, "At the Loves, gonna get your butt kicked or shot. Make sure you record that too." Andrews asks, "Are you threatening me?" Holton answers, "An imminent promise." The two men consult with the Love's manager, who ultimately gives Andrew permission to remain in the parking space. through the video, Andrews repeatedly asked for information so he could contact Holton's supervisor, but is told by the manager that the manager would handle it. The video has been viewed tens of thousands of times in less than 24 hours. And you can watch it below in this article. I will not put it in this video. And if you enjoy my show, please subscribe. Hit the red button and subscribe. It is free. Even though it says subscribe, it does not mean it's a paid membership. I know, like I said, this video is a little bit dark today. Apologize about that. Like I said, I'm trying to hurry up while it's still a little bit of daylight. Thank you so much for continuing to watch my videos, and please give it a like, thumbs up, thumbs down, leave comments. I greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're on Facebook, stop by and like the page on Facebook. If you wouldn't mind, please sign up for the newsletter, and I'll email you the show notes right to your inbox. You could do that by going to juliastruckercafe.com/newsletter. And anything that I have new in the works, you will be the first one to know. And if you enjoy my show and you would like to support me, the link is in the description below. If you are a monthly supporter of $5 a month or more, you will get a free gift. So I greatly appreciate all of my supporters, all of my benefactors, and thank you so much for viewing my videos and stopping by. I hope all of you have a very safe week, and until next time. You have been listening to Julia's Truckin' Cafe Truckin' News Hour. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Take care. Have a blessed day.